Oh boy, we need to talk about this disastrous defeat to Everton. I'm not thrilled about it either, just like you, but it has to be done. After such a humiliating display, it's only natural for fans to start looking for someone to blame. And of course, we return to the eternal debate, players or manager. Well, in this case, it's both. So without further ado, let's analyze. All right, so let's get started with this tactical analysis video. So yes, of course, I do agree the players were absolutely abysmal. They didn't show up. They were extremely sloppy. And they're, of course, responsible and they have to be held accountable for this defeat against Everton. But of course, this is a tactical analysis video. We also have to talk about tactics. So let's first start talking about Everton and how they press, because that to me is extremely important. So the way they press is, of course, using this hexagon shape right here, applying maximum pressure on Manchester United's pentagon shape with the three center backs and the two double pivot players, with Barry and Dewsbury Hall making these kind of like curved runs in order to prevent and cut the passing lanes for the Manchester United players, and just waiting for the right triggers in order to press with intensity, as we can here visualize from the game. As you can see again here, you do have that structure that they have. Manchester United are actually much more inclined to involve these attacking midfielders, in this case Amad Diallo and Xerxes, to come deep and collect the ball. This is why Everton are a little bit conservative, but when the right trigger happens, like here with Gana Gueye, pressing with intensity, which is gonna lead to a domino effect with all of these Everton players, applying maximum pressure with intensity on the Manchester United ball carriers. And by the time the ball reaches Euro, of course, all he has to do is clear it off. But what I have to say about this is, I can confidently say that if Everton still kept all 10 outfield players on the pitch, if Gana Gueye did not get that red card, I think that Ruben Amorim would have probably had a bigger chance of getting a positive result out of this game. Why? Because Everton, the way they were pressing in the beginning of the first half, even though it caused us some problem, like I showed you in this sequence, it actually plays into our hands, because what Ruben Amorim likes to do is to create these artificial transition moments, basically bait the opposition to come and press us with intensity, and then we take them by surprise with the diagonal or vertical ball, where they are open, where they are not expecting it. And then that's how we create ball progression and how we move the ball into the final third. But of course, with that red card, Everton were able to adapt, and they adapted in the most David Moyes way, in the most 2002 cliche way, which is they just took Dewsbury Hall, who was the attacking midfielder, the number 10 behind the main striker, to come deeper into partner Garner in here and to move into two banks of four. Now, this gives them defensive stability. It's a system that is favored by the likes of David Moyes and Diego Simeone, and this can be extremely hard to break down. But I saw one thing that pissed me off. And it is that Ruben Amorim still maintained this pentagon shape in the build-up, effectively occupying 5 Manchester United players for just one striker. Barry right here, he doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. He's not a threat. And, you don't need these many people in order to keep possession of the ball. So, in effect, Manchester United and Ruben Amorim was not using the players that he had efficiently. And so this, when I saw this happening in the first half, what I thought is that I was like, okay, maybe Ruben Amorim needs, the halftime break in order to really drive his point across. But then again, that was the same thing in the second half. In fact, this sequence was taken from the second half, where you expect things to be different. No, what you have is still one attacker right here from the opposition and still 5 Manchester United players in the build-up. Whereas actually the wise thing to do, because when you deal with these 2 banks of 4, there is actually a solution to everything that the opposition throws at you. And the thing is that what you want to do is you want to create a lot of interplay between the lines, and you want to create width in order to create as much space between the wide players, the right winger and and fullback and right back, sorry, and then the right-sided center back and right-sided central midfielder. And one way of doing that is just by creating overloads in the wide area. So you could do it by having Luke Shaw, push up a little bit more, give him a little bit more freedom for him to push up a little bit more aggressively. Or even, why was Ruben Amorim so hellbent on still remaining and still playing with 3 center backs? Why? Just sacrifice one defender. And even if you want to keep the same personnel, just push Luke Shaw into a left back position, and then push Dorgu into a much more aggressive left winger position, what this is going to do is that it's going to create certain spaces here for Xerxes and Bruno, for instance, to occupy these half spaces. This is going to drag Tarkowski and Garner around. It's going to create opportunities that Mbeumo, for example, because Ahmad is also going to play a little bit wider, where Mbeumo moving more centrally could actually exploit, with players like Bruno, later on, Mason Mount, even Xerxes, who can actually move to various areas of the pitch as they see fit in order to create those overloads and that numerical superiority. But we didn't do any of that. So we were extremely inefficient with how we used the players at our disposal. But one team, of course, was extremely efficient at that, and it's Everton. This is the lead up to the goal that we've conceded. Of course, we were extremely sloppy with handing Everton the possession of the ball first. So I'm not even going to talk about that. But when they had the ball, the way they used it was amazing, and we didn't see incisive plays similar to this from the Manchester United players who, on paper are supposed to be better. But here we have Grealish, very composed on the ball, the likes of Ndiaye as well. As you can see, he has a few options, and then he can pass in between the Manchester United midfielders. Here he collects the ball again, always options. Here he can play towards Michaelenko, a safer ball, or playing between the two Manchester United players towards Garner right here. As you can see, we have 4 Manchester United players here, and yet we cannot plug this space right here. Also, David Moyes used the trick that I'm going to talk about in one of my previous videos, highlighting VfB Stuttgart and how they use their wingbacks and their fullbacks in order to clog up the midfield. But here, what O'Brien is doing is exactly that. He's moving deeper. He's not going wide. As you can see, the player who's supposed to be with him, Dorgu, is not here. He's not on the screen. But what we have is a player right here who is ready to step in, either to apply pressure on Ahmad or to move a little bit deeper and provide support for the defenders in case Garner right here loses the ball. So as you can see here, again, Everton are much more efficient with how they are using their resources, to the point that even though they have one man less than us, it doesn't seem to be affecting them. We don't seem to be having any numerical advantages here, and that just drives me absolutely crazy, okay? So here, the moment Garner receives the ball, again, as you can see here, Dewsbury Hall is asking for the ball. But look at this. I mean, this triangle of Manchester United players here, what is their purpose? Why are they here? What is the aim? What is the purpose of them being here? It doesn't make any sense. And as you can see again, he can go towards Michael Keane, which would be the safer option, or go towards the riskier option. But as you can see, the Manchester United player's positioning is making it easy for Dewsbury Hall to receive the ball right here. Great turn. He's a really good player. But then here, this is just sloppy defending. No aggression, very undecisive. And then, of course, he's able to score. And again, as you can see, Dorgu is finally in the frame right now. But why? One center forward from the opposition is actually occupying all of these Manchester United players. It doesn't make any sense at all. And that's just a beautiful smashing finish. And when you look at data, so this is data from a website called xgstats.com, and I'm going to leave the description down below. They really do some really interesting data visualization. So here, what this shows us is that Bruno Fernandes and Luke Shaw are actually the two players who were involved the most, in Manchester United's, passing network. But as you can see here, there is very little verticality, very little penetration, in that you can see, again, that shape, that like diamond shape in the build-up. Those are the players that touch the ball the most. But as you can see here in this area, we're very light. Dorgu looks like he's absolutely isolated. Players like Mbeumo or Xerxes, they are not really involved in the play. And we are playing against 10 men, so we should be doing much better. And this looks even worse when you actually divide up, our passing network based on phases. So here you have in the build-up phase, then the progression phase, and then the final third. And as you can see, our map, our network, if you may, just keeps on getting narrower and narrower, flatter like a pancake. Again, more indication that we are not creating any penetration. We are not being threatening. We are not threatening Everton at all. We are making it extremely easy for them. And it's just the same players, in that Ruben Amorim, 3-2 shape in the build-up, that are just recycling possession between them. But the players who can actually hurt the opposition are not as involved in these phases of play. So that is extremely upsetting. All right, so the two main reasons why we lost this game against Everton are the fact that Ruben Amorim simply did not adapt to the way the game has evolved after that red card in a way that would enable us to, take advantage of the numerical superiority that we had over Everton. in fact, he chose to stick, to his system, to his way of doing things, even though it was clearly not adapted to the context of the game. And that to me is extremely, extremely upsetting. That's not good enough. Like I've said many times in my videos, all I want from a manager, listen, I can live with a loss. That's perfectly fine, but not in this fashion. I don't want to see a manager in the dugout who's not trying to find tactical solutions to problems. And so try things. Even if they don't work, that's fine. But to just stick to, even though it doesn't work, I mean, that's just insane. Okay, and the second reason is just how sloppy the players. In fact, I'm not going to show you all of the clips because all of the players were, I don't know, were they hungover? Did they have a party last night? I have no idea what was going on with them. But if there was one clip that just shows just how out of their minds, and out of shape these players are, is this clip by Amad Diallo. The head is not even there. They are not focused. They're not concentrated. They are not sharp. I mean, the head is simply not following. So at this point, I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure whether Ruben Amorim's tactical tweaks would have been enough, because I simply think that these players mentally, at least based on last game, they were simply not there. Now, of course, I have to balance out this argument because it is true that Manchester United have improved a lot since that defeat against Brentford. And credit to Ruben Amorim because he did make tactical changes. I think this warrants a video on that topic. As well as the players, because they were really focused and they tried their best the way they came back against Spurs. So those were very good results. In fact, had we won this game, we would have been in 5th position. So again, those are tangible, improvements from the team over the past 2 months. But again, just the way we lost this game against Everton is absolutely upsetting. It just leaves this, a bitter, sour taste. And we are never going to be taken seriously until we can start winning these kind of games consistently. A top team, just like a bunch of sharks, they would just smell blood with that red card and Everton would lose 3 or 4-0. And so we have to become that ruthless bully, which Manchester United currently isn't. We're like Shrek. We're like a gentle giant. Anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give the video the thumbs up and please hype it up. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, cheers.